And welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. Last weekend, my wife and I went down to Portland, Oregon, where we attended the Retro Gaming Expo. Here's our badge, and in fact, it's the 10th anniversary. It was a really great event, as it always is. This is our third time going. I'm currently cutting together that footage, so the next video will actually be what the event was like. But I just thought, well, let's do the pickups video. What did I actually get at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo? Now, previous to actually going, I've already posted on my channel that not too long ago for my PlayStation 1, I picked up this Nijicon driving controller. So I thought, well, since I'm going to be in Portland at the retro event, I'm going to make sure I get myself some games that make use of that controller. And so the first one that I got is one that Metal Jesus Rocks actually did a review of. This one here, Roll Cage 2. I got it for $8, and that's in really good condition. You know, the disc is looking nice. It's got its manual and everything. And yeah, it's I gave it a quick try. It's very hard to describe, and I'm looking forward to doing a full-on video of it, but it's basically like a strange Mario Kart. You drive over, pick up power-ups, and you're driving this radical, weird, funky world. It's very cool. I like this one so far. But that's the first one that I got. And then another racing game that I got is this one here, Rage Racer, and not Ridge Racer, which I already have, Rage Racer, which is actually made by the same folks. This one was $7. And I just want to point out this packaging that this thing came in, like they've actually sealed it up in the cellophane envelope. I opened it up to make sure it works, but I gotta tell you, inside this thing is pristine. I mean, the case is in glorious condition. The disc doesn't have a scratch on it. The manual looks brand new. Like, there were a couple of guys selling games in this kind of condition where you would swear they just came off an assembly line mint. Like, they were fantastic. So, yeah, I tried out Rage Racer. It's really cool. Looks really nice. It's got some differences from Ridge Racer, and I'm probably going to go into those in more detail in another video, but that was the second game that I got. Now, I also picked up a game that I thought the Nijicon would have been really cool and very useful for, and that is Breakout. This is in the same way that Pong came out for PlayStation. They've also done Breakout. This is $4. And it's, you know, you move the paddle back and forth and you bounce balls and you're like herding sheep, and it's all kind of cool twists on the Breakout idea. And I made very certain under here it mentions all the different kind of controllers, and it mentions the analog thumbsticks are usable in this game. So I thought, well, great, that means it'll work with the Nijicon. Tried it out last night. It doesn't actually work with the Nijicon, which, if you ask me, is weird. Like, you would think surely rotating this thing back and forth would be ideal for a paddle game. It doesn't work, but that's not the end of that story, because, as I also mentioned in my making the Nijicon work on the PlayStation 3, I do have these other adapters. I've got the Innovation X connection and this other connector, the XP Joybox, which allow me to, and this one that goes into the PlayStation 3, this will allow the Nijicon to behave like a digital controller in a PlayStation. So in a roundabout way, like the fellow that first got me in information about this Innovation X connection, he said you can actually use this combination to play games that were not designed for the Nijicon to actually work. Like, for example, Crash Team Racing, which only uses the D-pad for control. Through this kind of a weird hookup, you can actually make it work with Crash Team Racing. Therefore, at some point, I'm going to try this connection, this hookup, to see if Breakout is going to work, because that seems like the type of game that would be just screaming out to be used with the Nijicon. However, in addition to the Nijicon, another great control scheme that this would work well with, in fact, it even mentions it on the back here, was another thing I picked up. I got a PlayStation mouse. And it was $20, which is a little bit higher than some of these other items, but works great. I've given it a little test drive. And I think, yes, that with Breakout will actually be kind of a neat little combination. Another game that I got specifically for the PlayStation Mouse was this one, which I've been looking for forever. Starblade Alpha. Now, this is actually the Japanese version, and when I got it, the guy was selling it, I think I got it for like $10. Didn't have the price tag on it here, but yeah, it was like 10 bucks. The guy selling it said, I know, right? Can you believe that the North American release is so valuable or so goes for so much money? I thought, I'm not aware of that. I've looked it up on eBay because I was tempted to buy it, and it didn't seem that pricey. But when I saw this guy selling the Japanese Starblade Alpha, and I know it works with the mouse, in fact, that's probably one of the best control schemes for it, yeah, I had to get Starblade Alpha. Okay, switching away from PlayStation stuff then. What else did I get? Well, let's kick it a little bit older. Another one that I got, Super Street Fighter for the Super NES. And do I have the price tag on here? No, this was like, I think this was about $15, which is a little steep considering it's a Super NES game, and a lot of those went for $4 or $5. But Super Street Fighter is one of those titles. It's like Super Punch-Out or a variety of others. They're so valuable, or they're so highly sought and collected. Nobody's going to get rid of these things for cheap. So I just thought, all right, yeah, fine. It's worth 15 bucks to me to get this. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, why did you get that when we all know full well you got Super Street Fighter and regular Street Fighter Champion Edition on the Genesis? Why the heck did you also pick up for Super NES? I'm going to do a video about this later, but I was at a friend's place who had Super Street Fighter. We had a few games with his Super NES, and I discovered something about the Super NES version that surprised me and made me think, you know what, I'm going to pick it up for Super NES because of this interesting little thing that I discovered. So now that I've got it, I'll probably still also play it on Genesis, but yeah, I'm going to do a video about why I got this specifically. As I mentioned a little while ago, I also recently picked up an Xbox, and it's been a great little machine. I'm gonna do some proper videos and review various games for that. But one thing that I did not have, and I saw it at the show, so had to pick it up, I got the Duke controller. Now, this thing was $3, and works great. It is enormous. I mean, I've got fairly big hands, but even for me, this thing is huge. To give you an idea of scale, there's the Duke, and there's my PlayStation 1, and the Duke is about the same size. It's a huge controller. Yeah, I tried one out in the local retro store, and I thought, yeah, I want to pick one of these up, and for $3, absolutely. In addition to the Duke controller, I also got a little extension cable. Now, the nice thing is with Xbox Original, these connectors, they go into a little dongle that actually plugs into the console itself, and if somebody walks by and trips, it sort of knocks this thing out. This also acts as a little extension cable, so you can increase the length of how far away you can sit from the console. Why would I need that? Because I'm not that far from the Xbox, really. Well, as I mentioned, the Nijicon does have, through this Innovation X connection, the ability to play Xbox games. But I found that having the Nijicon hooked up and using all of these various connectors, you would think it would be very long. It's not quite long enough to reach me on the couch, so I'm going to use this little extension cables for playing Xbox Original games using the Nijicon. So that's why I got that there. And to round it out, I picked up some games that I don't think you would really consider to be retro. They're a little more recent. I did mention I've been really getting into light gun games, especially with the Wii Zapper, and I'm going to do a video about that. And so I picked up Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. That was $8, and it's in really nice condition. It's got the manual and the whole 9 yards. Going to do a video about that sometime. And the other not very old game that I also picked up at the show is actually a Vita title, Need for Speed Most Wanted. It was $15. Since I've got that PlayStation TV now, I thought, well, yeah, I'm gonna pick up a Vita game and actually try it out. I'm gonna do a full-on video of what that's like because I just thought to myself, oh yeah, you stick the cartridge in and away you go. You start playing. It doesn't really work. You plug this in. It does actually install, and like a lot of PlayStation stuff, it did prompt me, oh, you have to install an update, so I didn't get around to that, but I will. So that's essentially what I picked up at the show. Now, in addition, I also, we were waiting a little bit of time for our return trip to come back to Vancouver, and we decided to pop into GameStop. And lo and behold, they actually had a couple things in there that I also picked up. It's not really from the Portland Retro event, but part of the same trip. Unfortunately, it's pre-owned, so there's no actual cover for it. But I got Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex Edition. And why? Well, as I say, I've been getting into the Zapper lately, and they say this is actually a very... I mean, it's a Call of Duty game which is tweaked for using with the Zapper. So I tried that out briefly, and the tutorial seemed to run okay. So yeah, okay, I'll pick that up for $8. Why not? Or what is it? Okay, that's with the card. So $10 basically. And since that was there, my final purchase was not something I had really intended on buying. I mean, I was going to get it eventually, and that is this, also pre-owned. This is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And again, pre-owned, so it doesn't have the label or anything. I'll just print off a temporary version. What to say about our Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3? Well, there's a reason I want to get it. Now, since getting the PlayStation TV, I thought, well, I want to make sure these games will work. And I really, really wanted to get Street Fighter Cross Tekken, because there are two characters in that game that I really, really like playing, and I thought, hey, I'll get that for the Vita. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the PlayStation TV. I guess there are touch controls for something. So, yeah, unfortunately, Street Fighter Cross Tekken for the Vita will not work on the PS TV, and so therefore it didn't make the cut. But then when I was doing my research, I read about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 does work on the PlayStation TV, and ironically, there are 3 characters on that game that are also very, very significant to me. And in this game, you actually team up with 3 people, so that kind of works out well. Rather than the 2 that I wanted to play in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I'll use the 3 that are in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But we're doing a video about that. I ran into an interesting experience with this that I'm going to do a more detailed video about. It was used, and it hadn't been, all the data on it hadn't been deleted. So when I first fired it up, it said, you're not going to earn any trophies if you don't nuke all the memory on the card. So I had to look up, how do you do that? Because I'm new to the Vita stuff. So finally figured that out, and I'll show you how that's what's involved in that. In fact, that might actually solve a problem that I'm having with another game on the PlayStation TV. However, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's all the pickups. That's what I got at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And the next video I'll be posting was everything else that we saw at the show. And there we go. Until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.